The population for 2000 of over 100 million. Whatever was calculated said there will be 200 or so 400 people to join from K9. You know how it goes, the operators then, the errors of yellow pages and telephone directories and all that. But now, it's an honor to have millions of telephone lines. So much so that my 18-year-old daughter will want to grab the mobile phone from my hand to speak to her grandmother. That's the development we are enjoying today. And a key player in that event, that people making events in their country, is here today, sharing it first with us. It's an honor for us to welcome Engineer Ernest Ndukwe.
People are concerned about the fact that the Ernest Ndukwe tenure comes to an end in 2010, and what happens beyond the Ernest Ndukwe era at the NCC, because indeed my tenure runs out in about 2 months' time, and perhaps going forward, I'm sure some other capable person will be there at the NCC to hold forth. But I can also assure you that I wouldn't be too far from the telecom industry, because that's all I've done all my life, and perhaps will also be there to participate in one way or the other. I must say that the past 10 years has been something of an interesting time. Perhaps I must say the most interesting part of my life, and I consider myself really opportune to be in this place at this time, in seeing the telecom industry transform to what it is today. Thinking about sustaining the growth also means that we realize that it's still work in progress, and there's still much to be done despite the achievements that have been made so far. Today we're talking about close to 74 million connections in the country today. Let's also put in perspective that the telecom and ICT, telecom and communications and information technology are so critical to any nation's development in any modern economy. In fact, hardly anything can happen without the support of ICT infrastructure. So I guess that's also the reason why we're here this morning, to also see how best to sustain the growth that has happened in the industry. Here in Nigeria, for instance, communications networks are now making it possible for the nation to participate in the world economy in ways that simply were not possible in the past. The fact that the achievements in the industry so far can be attributed largely to the foresight by government in implementing a successful sector reform. So I just thought I should mention this as a base for us to now discuss going forward, what must we do? To sustain the growth, we must maintain stability in the policy and regulatory environment. Investors, when they will come into an environment to invest in the telecom industry, they look at two things, maybe three. They look at the policy of government in that sector. They look at the regulatory environment in that sector, and they look at the enabling laws that govern that sector. The telecom law, also we were lucky that in 2003, the National Assembly passed the Communications Act into law. That act actually is considered internationally as a very, very forward-looking and good law. And that has helped also to guide the industry so far. But suffice it to say that there are one or two things, because we live in a technological environment that is continuously evolving. Change is always happening. And when you look at that law, you'll find that certain new aspects of telecom practice might be missing. Things like cyber security, electronic signature, things like that that would normally be in a modern, if it was crafted today, those things would have been in there. Today, even in our Evidence Act, sometimes electronic documents are not admissible, which is quite a worry. And I think we need to update the laws to be able to maintain or improve on these areas. Then I would also say with my experience that it's also very important to maintain the independence of the regulatory institutions, both operationally, financially, and so on. One thing that has helped me and other members of the board of the commission has been the level of independence that we enjoyed over the years. Once there is political interference and decisions are sometimes guided by political interests and things like that, then you have issues about maintaining transparency and having problems with actually having what is usually referred to as a level playing field in the industry. It's not just independence from the political hierarchy, it's also independence from the operating companies. There should be a major independence from that, and that's where the financial independence is important. It's a very capital intensive industry, and therefore to continue network expansion, improve on quality, which all of us always talk about, and increase coverage in Nigeria. Emphasis must continue to be on ensuring that we have an attractive investment climate. People in Nigeria, I think various governments should try to see what they can do themselves in generating power for their various states. Let some parts of this country have free electricity 24/7. It will improve the incidence of unemployment, and it will create industrial clusters around the country and make us move a bit faster than we're doing at the moment. Another critical area for us in the industry is the banking and finance sector. Telecom, ICTs, in fact, we're almost like Siamese twins. Telecom, without any telecom company without its financier behind this cannot move. On the final note, another important area of focus is improved corporate governance generally, which is something we also need to look at for the future. One of the issues that have plagued some companies that I told you, not all telecom companies are actually making money, either because they're not managing their businesses well, or because some things that shouldn't happen have actually happened while these companies are being run. So it also goes to talk about issues about training and having the right manpower and having the right corporate governance practices. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I think beyond 2010, Nigeria would need to continue to grow its network. We need to continue to encourage investment in our environment, because without it, we'll have challenges. Thank you very much.
I think at the beginning of the regulatory regime, the industry was supposed to pay 2.5% of the turnover to the NCC. You know the industry protested. I don't know what paid in the end. That is one. Two is, what's the total volume of the industry? That might give us an idea. That's NCC. The next question is, what exactly is the future of the internet in Nigeria? Is it going to be based on cable, on wireless? And that relates to the business community mainly, or the individual consumer?
In the industry, telecommunications and broadcasting to meet at a certain point. And I think it was in the light of this that towards the end of the Obasanjo administration there was a move to merge the NBC, which is the broadcast regulator, and the NCC. That was more than 2 years ago. Up to today, we've had nothing more about that. I want to know why this is not happening. We talked about spectrum management. I think this is the concern of this, or the focus of this attempt to merge the two, broadcasting and telecommunication, because you need to manage spectrum in a better way. I know that across the world today also, we are reserving some spectrum for, as you said, the new and upcoming ICTs. Today I think we're doing much about spectrum management. We're talking about digitalization of broadcasting. We're doing nothing. Sadly, we're doing nothing, because while the global deadline is 2015, June 2015, when we in Nigeria decided to do our study, June 2012. We're still sleeping. There's no talk about digitalization of broadcasting today. Outside the submission of the report of the Presidential Advisory Committee on Digitalization, we submitted a report last year, April last year. I will have much about that report today.
If you call like 30 times, you can't get through. If you try to do it, I'm talking from my personal experience. I have issue with the internet modem that I bought, and within the last 3 months, it got bad. And you're supposed to pay ahead. I just recharged, and the modem got bad. I went to make a complaint, and I was told to go get another one. And I just paid 10,000 naira. And they didn't tell me I needed to write to suspend the money ran off. I was upset, but because that network was national and I do travel around the country a lot, I went back, got another modem within the last 3 months. Something happened. You know, after I waited like 7 months before I made up my mind, so okay, let me do this line again. So this thing I was really upset. I didn't get anything. I went to the office, complained. I was told to fill a form, and I didn't get anything. Nobody called me. Nothing.
So I'll try to start this response by starting with the consumer issue itself, with the lady. I don't know if you've heard of the NCC Consumer Affairs Bureau, because rather than waiting all these months, I am sure if you had either appeared on any of our consumer parliaments or consumer outreach program, this program would have been sorted out long ago. That is one. Secondly, we've actually set up consumer call centers across the country now. So you can also call NCC directly if you're not satisfied with what the operating companies is doing with respect to the services you're getting. I am sure you will get some redress with that. And that includes also emails. So, because when you started talking, you talked about whether to report to NCC. I think you should have actually reported to NCC the first time you had your modem was bad after 3 months. I'll take the other question, which is from Mr. Komolafe, talked about if money that was spent in the telecom industry in the last 10 years was given to civil servants, what would have happened? I would have said that perhaps we will be on 1 million lines by now. Because business, some people say the government has no business in business. There is actually one country in Africa that has not liberalized the telecom industry, Ethiopia. And that's the country with the least number of lines in Africa. Up till today, I don't think they have up to 2 million lines in their country. And I think there are 40-something million people in the country. The issue here is that I don't think much progress would have happened. Because I'm not saying that civil servants are bad, but quite honestly, there are certain businesses that are better run by private enterprise and public enterprise. Talking about spectrum management, yes, that is critical. And I think one thing that we did at the NCC also recently is to create a new department that we call New Media and Information Security Department. And the idea is to have a focus on growing our relevance and also regulatory competence in the area of internet governance, internet issues, modern technologies that concern new digital data services, and then of course cybersecurity issues are critical has been going south in terms of performance. So the issue is that we don't have a fixed line. So my simple conclusion is that the future of internet and broadband in Nigeria is wireless.